Hey y'all, it's your girl Missniecytv, and I'm here to do a review for Sistas Season 7, Episode 7. The episode picks up where it left off, and Gary and Tamara are kissing, and when they pull away, Gary says, I like bad girls. Or you want to be Usher so bad, Tamara, I need a bad girl. But if you're not careful, Hayden gonna be singing, he was a friend of mine, he slept with my wife. Then we see Hayden come in the room, he's like, y'all alright? Tamara and Gary look so suspicious. Tamara's over here trying to fix her clothes, and Gary's over here wiping his mouth. Then Hayden starts bringing up how he wants to become partner again and how everybody at the office likes him, and the only person that's standing in his way is Andy. Gary's like, I still think you need an A-list client, though, for optics. Tamara decides to up and leave the room, and as she's leaving the room, Hayden goes, you look so domesticated. So it's just Gary and Hayden in the room now, and Gary's like, I think you need to take your time with Tamara. She needs to earn your trust back. Hayden's like, yeah, I know. He's like, you know what they say, when mistrust comes in, the love and the grown-up activities go out. He's like, she might give it to somebody else. Gary, is this your warning that you're going to sleep with Tamara? At this point, you and Tamara belong together, Gary. Y'all both schemers and scammers. Gary leaves, and it's just Hayden and Tamara now, and Tamara's like, how do you think tonight? Hayden's like, I think it went well, but Gary and Penelope are putting on a front with their relationship. Tamara's like, what you mean? Hayden's like, all those excessive pet names during dinner and all this other stuff. Hayden's like, Gary used the word we excessively, but he's the most selfish person in the world that I know. Tamara's like, that must be hard on Penelope. Hayden's like, well, that must be hard on Gary, because Penelope doesn't seem like she's a saint either. Tamara's like, I should be the last person asking you this, but do you really trust Gary? Hayden's like, yeah, I trust him. Why? Hayden also is like, well, he's been like that since college. I'm like, when y'all met in college? Because these new writers need to do their homework when they write these episodes, because Andy was actually the one that introduced Hayden to Gary. Hayden's like, enough talking about them. The only person I'm worried about is you right now. And they get down to business, and as they're getting down to business, Tamara's fantasizing about Gary. I'm like, Tamara, was the kiss that good that you had to fantasize about this man? But the whole time she's fantasizing about him, I'm like, please don't call out Gary's name. Over at this team play at Sabrina's house celebrating her birthday, and Rich is letting Sabrina know how much she means to him and how much he cares about her. And the charm bracelet is engraved with Love Rich, and Rich notices that Sabrina's mood changed once he entered the bracelet. He's like, if you don't like it, I can get you something else. Sabrina's like, it's not that I don't like it, I actually love it, but I'm just in my feelings right now. I'll shake it off. Rich is like, whatever it is, you can talk to me about it. And Sabrina's like, well, I have my appointment with my fertility doctor tomorrow. Rich is like, oh, okay, I'm here to support you. Sabrina's like, well, you don't want any kids. And what if we decide to give us a try? I have a baby. Rich is like, can we cross that bridge when we get to it? Sabrina's like, no, what if we have a kid? What will I tell my kids? You're my boyfriend, but you don't want nothing to do with them. Will you decide to leave if I have this baby? And I'm like, Sabrina, how many times did this man tell you he doesn't want kids? Are you trying to force him into a situation that he does not want to be in? You really need to work on your self-esteem. A waiter comes over to Sabrina's table and gives her a cupcake and wishes her a happy birthday. Sabrina, you really want a man that bad that you're willing to do anything? At this point, just let Sabrina have her baby and break up with Rich, because I'm over the storyline already. We're at the law firm. Andy walks in without a care in the world. She looks good in her red suit, by the way. The receptionist is like, how you doing, Miss Barnes? The receptionist asks Andy if she's okay, and Andy's like, yeah. That's when Hayden walks up. He's like, what's up, Olivia Pope? Andy's like, why I gotta be all that? Hayden's like, Olivia loved this scandal, and apparently you do too. Andy goes into her office, and Fatima's rushing behind her, and Andy's like, what's going on? Fatima's like, I'm here to ask you the same thing. Fatima's like, so you don't know? Andy's like, I don't know anything. You're scaring me. What's going on? Fatima's like, look, it's about Jordan. There's a story going on about him, and he's been in the news all day. Andy's like, well, yeah, his opponent just dropped out. Fatima's like, no, it's something worse than that. This is when Fatima hands Andy the phone, and Andy reads the headline, and she's like, Jordan Williams has been accused of sleeping with the underage girl. Gary did his big one with the story, because it's a very believable story, because all politicians have a story like this. Andy's looking so shocked and distraught, and I actually feel really bad for him. Over at the salon, Karen is talking to Pam, and she's like, aren't you supposed to be working? You're supposed to be working for me. Pam is like, I am working. I'm selling out these orders, but enough about me. Have you heard about your girl, Andy? Karen tries to call Andy to see what's going on, but Andy's not answering her phone. Over at the airport, Tony is coming to talk to Danny, because Danny's not answering her phone after he called her like 20 times. Tony's like, I just want to talk like adults. Danny's like, oh really? Because adults want to handle their situation like this. They would have been honest. Tony was like, I was honest. You know I had kids. Danny's like, that's true, but I didn't know you could have custody of them at any time. Tony's like, I didn't know either. My ex-wife got deployed, and I told her I would watch kids for her. Tony's like, you're really being insensitive about this. Danny's like, what's really messed up is that you should have told me. Tony was like, you knew what it was when you signed up. He's like, well, unsubscribe me. Danny's like, look, I'm working and you got an airline to run. Tony's like, well, my kids are here to stay, so you can get right or you could get left. Over at the bank, we have Paige and Sabrina, and Paige is getting on Sabrina about the certain amount of money that was left in her drawer, but Sabrina added some more. Sabrina basically told Paige, if you got a problem with it, you could check it for yourself, but I'm taking an early lunch because I got a person to call. It turns out the person to call was with her fertility doctor, Miss Morris, and they're talking about if Sabrina wants to freeze her eggs or get embryos as well. Sabrina says she wants to do embryos as well, and the fertility doctor is like, well, you don't have any sperm. Sabrina's like, well, I'll be looking at sperm bank. Back at the law firm, Fatima goes to check on Andy after some time, and she's like, Andy, how you doing? Andy's like, I can't stop looking at this headline. Did you know that the girl that is accusing him is white? Fatima's like, how do we even know she's telling the truth? Andy's like, well, what if she is telling the truth? Fatima's like, I think you should wait before you judge him. Andy's like, I can't. What about my job? What about my reputation? I work so hard. Fatima's like, well, you just need to take a break and shut everything down. I forgot to mention earlier that Fatima asked Andy, as Jordan showed any signs of being attracted to younger girls, and Andy's like, no. And as they're talking, the receptionist comes in, and she's like, well, Jordan Woods has been calling 23 times today. Fatima's like, have you been holding your calls like I asked? The receptionist says, yeah, but there's also a visitor here to see you, Fatima. Then we see Zach coming in a law firm, and he's screaming and yelling like, where's my baby at? Where's my baby at? Turns out Zach came to the law firm to surprise Fatima with her acceptance letter to law school framed in some flowers. Fatima's like, where'd you find this? Zach is like, you left it out when you printed it out. Fatima's like, well, you know this is gonna take a lot of my time, right? Zach is like, I'm very proud of you and I'll be there every step of the way. Zach is like, so are we getting married before the bar or after? Zach even told Fatima that he's gonna build her own farm. Zach is like, to celebrate, we should get down to business in your office, and Fatima's like, we can't do that. And as they're joking and playing around, Andy walks in crying, and she's like, I'm going to break up with Jordan. In the parking lot, Andy is walking to her car, and as she's walking to her car, Jordan pops out. She's like, what are you doing here? Everyone at my job has been talking and staring and looking at me crazy. Jordan's like, I just came to bring you your phone since you ain't answer my calls. Andy's like, well, is it true? Jordan's like, no, it's not true. I don't know this girl. Andy's like, well, the girl's saying she has proof. Jordan's like, I don't know what proof she got, but my PR team is working on it because I ain't never touched this girl. I don't know this girl. Jordan's like, you gotta believe me. Andy's like, how is this supposed to make me look? I want to become partner at this firm. Back over at the airport, Danny goes to talk to Tony after she's calmed down, and when she goes to talk to Tony, Tony has an attitude with her until Danny apologizes. Danny's like, look, I know your kids mean a lot to you and I wouldn't be with you if they did. And he's like, if we're gonna be together like 20, 30 decades, I want to be included in stuff, especially has to do with your kids. Tony's like, I can do that, but you'll be a great stepmom too. Danny's like, hold on now, you pushing it. Back at the bank, Karen shows up to see if she can get a personal loan, and as they're talking, Karen lets Sabrina know she's broke and the shop is declining because she doesn't have enough to pay for property taxes. Pam's business is doing well, but Pam is not working for her. The baby is kicking her behind and she doesn't know what to do. But I'm like, does Karen own this salon or is she renting? Because you don't pay property taxes on something you don't own. As they're talking, Sabrina's doing a personal loan. Sabrina tells Karen that she's been declined for the personal loan. Karen's like, what am I going to do? I don't have any money. Sabrina's like, well, Andy gave me this check for my birthday and I can give it to you. Karen's like, that was a gift and you keep your money. Speaking of Andy, they talk about Andy and how they're going to have a girls' night at Andy's house. Once Karen leaves, Maurice calls Sabrina and she's like, what you want? Maurice is like, how you doing? Sabrina tells Maurice about the eggs and embryos, but she doesn't want to talk about the conversation anymore, so Maurice brings up Grayson and how their date went and how everything's great. Speaking of Grayson, Grayson comes in Maurice's house and Maurice is like, how you get in here? Grayson was like, well, the door's cracked. Grayson's like, what's this about you not wanting a husband or you not wanting a boyfriend? Maurice is like, I was just saying that for my job. Back over at Hayden's, Tamara gets a call from Gary and he's like, I'm thinking about your lips, not the ones on your face. While you're doing the business with Hayden, think about me sliding into you and not Hayden. I'm like, Gary, you really on one, my guy. Tamara's like, how you get my number? Tamara hangs up the phone and Hayden comes down the stairs and he's like, who you talking to? Tamara says that was spam. Hayden's like, well, I get those calls all the time. Tamara's hot and ready like Little Caesars. Hayden goes down on Tamara and they have a great time. Knowing that Tamara wasn't thinking about Hayden in that moment, she was thinking about Gary. Andy's house, the girls are meeting up for her sister circles meeting and they're updating each other about their lives and they're asking Andy how she's dealing with Jordan's situation. Andy's like, I just need time to process it. Sabrina's like, well, I'm freezing my eggs and my embryos. Danny's like, well, you might need to check their DNA because it might be crazy. And then they bring up something about a DNA test. And Danny brings up the fact that Karen and Fatima are on the same page. And Danny's like, let's not do that today. Danny, be so for real. Karen leaves and it's just Danny and Sabrina there. And Jordan calls Andy and he's begging and pleading for his sympathy. And Jordan's like, you can't break up with me over this. Andy's like, I'm not breaking up with you, I just need time. Andy's trying to avoid the conversation in any way possible. Over at Zach and Fatima's, Karen shows up to Zach's door and she's like, look, I got a DNA test for tomorrow at noon. I expect you to be there. Zach is like, what's the process? Karen's like, not much for you, but for me, they gotta stick a needle in my stomach. Zach is like, oh my bad, I didn't think about that. Karen's like, don't act like you care now. Zach is like, I do care. Karen's like, don't bring Fatima either. And that's when Fatima comes downstairs and she's like, what'd you say? I heard my name and you almost woke up baby Michael. Karen's like, well, let me reiterate. We have a DNA test at noon and I don't want you to come. Fatima's like, who's gonna stop me? Zach is like, wait a minute, I thought we was cool. You came over here and bought some clothes for Michael. What happened? Fatima's like, I thought so too. Karen's like, we was until you started putting stuff in his head. And then Karen, the real person you should have an issue with is Daddy. She's the one that put this stuff in his head. Fatima's like, look, I'm about to be his wife soon, so everything's gonna be ran through me. Karen's like, wife my behind. And then that's when Karen starts calling Fatima B words and all this other stuff. Karen leaves and she's like, don't forget the DNA test at noon. And Fatima's like, I got your B. And I'm like, Karen, why do you have to be so bitter all your life? I thought you were changing for the better, but apparently you got misplaced anger and you need to direct it at the person that really started all this. But you don't know who it is because it will never be told, but it's the person that's closest to you. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Bye!